Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this may be a different video than you're used to, but Black Ops 4 Zombies just launched, and it is very different than what you expect. And I feel like, because I had a hard time getting used to the changes, I wanted to make a video specifically discussing the changes to make it easier for you all to understand if you are just jumping into it. Now, in case you're wondering, Bricky, where is Juggernaut? Well, that's pretty simple to explain. There is no Juggernaut. However, you can get Juggernaut, sort of, through the Custom Mutations tab, which is under Edit Game Rules over here. Now, there's a lot of different things here, but what you want to do is you want to go over to Player, go to Starting Health, and then you can increase the amount of bars you want. Juggernaut is +2 bars, allowing you to take 5 hits before you die. You can make 3 if you feel like it, but anyway, that's basically how you get Juggernaut. You got to go ahead and get into your private lobby and do your custom mutations. Now, this, I don't know if this affects your XP. I don't know if this affects your ability to do the Easter egg. I have no idea about these things, but that is how you get Jug if you want to play the old style. Now, with that being said, I'm going to go through all the zombie changes and all the differences into the main screen of zombies. We're not going to go into the maps themselves or the weapons or anything in it, but we are going to talk about all the changes on the main menu screen that you're seeing here and discuss what has adjusted and what's going on. First things first, there are 3 maps: Voyage of Despair, 9, Blood of the Dead, and something here. I'm not quite sure what this is, but it doesn't necessarily matter. These are the 3 main maps right here. Voyage of Despair is on the Titanic, 9 is a gladiatorial style, Blood of the Dead is the Mob of the Dead remake. There are also 3 different difficulty settings. You have normal, casual, hardcore, and realistic. Realistic is for a death sentence. There are no revives and you're down in 1 hit. Normal is your standard. Casual is kind of like Black Ops 2 easy mode. I have not tried hardcore yet. But generally, if you want the standard zombie experience, you play it on normal. There's also a game mode called Rush. Rush is similar to Grief in Black Ops 2. All of you have to go ahead and attempt to get as many points as possible, and those who do not lose the game. It's like kind of like you're fighting your friends, sort of, kind of. There's also a tutorial. That doesn't necessarily matter too much, but that is what the new game modes for this type of zombies are. Now let's get into the more specific stuff. Create a class. Perks have been somewhat removed in a weird way. So there are no longer perk machines on the map in the traditional sense. You now have 4 perk machines right here that you customize in your own way. Now, the Chaos story is the new story with the new characters, and the Ether story is the old story. These are just skins. They mean the same thing. Don't worry about it. It just depends on the map that you're going on. Now, let's go ahead and try the Ether story. You got brew, cola, soda, and tonic. Now, these generally mean pretty much nothing in terms of their names. What they are placed on the map in a certain way. So perhaps if you're able to get to brew first on the specific map, you might want to put a specific perk there. Now, you can customize all of these in the different perks that you want. So for instance, brew, I can choose all these other perks down here that I want to be in that Coca-Cola machine when I arrive to it. Some of these you may recognize, some of these you may not. Quick Revive is a pretty standard one, nothing really special going on there. You have Stamina Up, which increases your sprint speed, of course, and then you have a lot of other ones. Electric Burst is kind of like Electric Cherry. Dying Wish is a pretty intense one. When you enter Last Stand, instead of dying, you go berserk for 9 seconds, granting you invulnerability and insane melee damage. It's very interesting, I gotta say. Stone Cold Stronghold is also pretty cool. Standing your ground creates a defensive circle which boosts damage and armor over time. And there's a couple other ones. PhD Slider is actually like PhD Flopper. You slide to build the charge, and then once you're fully charged, you slide and it explodes. Mule Kick, of course, like normal. Deadshot Dealer is like Deadshot Daiquiri, so on and so forth. So you can go ahead and customize these however you want with whatever perks you feel like having. That is, at the end of the day, just kind of how it works. The only difference is that this tonic one at the end has a modifier. this modifier will adjust some of the things that their perk has, almost like a pro perk in the old Call of Duties. Say for Quick Revive, it says gain a movement boost after health regeneration starts, or Stamina Up is unlimited full sprint and fire while sprinting, and then there's a lot more of other in-between stuff here. So as far as you know, perks are, oh, it's the same for the Chaos Story as well, they just look different. But so as far as you know, the perks on the map are these 4 different machines, and that's it. They're in the same places, but what's in them depends on you. Next up, let's go to Elixirs on our left over here. Now, Elixirs are your new Gobblegums, basically. Now, if you don't know what a Gobblegum is from Black Ops 3, it's a little one-time, well, it was a one-time use ability you got from a machine. Now, you don't get it from a machine anymore. Now, you build them up as the rounds go on and you kill zombies, and you can use one of 4. Now, like Gobblegums, you have classics, which you can use for as much as you want. Commons do have a use rate, as do rares, legendaries, and epics. Now, like I said in the Black Ops 3 version, these are gained, at least the commons, through epics via the drop system from the game, like Dr. Monty's Factory. We'll go into that more later. But for the time being, these are different kinds of perks or Gobblegum style things that you can put wherever you'd like, and you can choose which ones you like to swap out. For instance, Anywhere But Here is one of my favorites. You instantly teleport to a random location, and so I can go ahead and use that in any scary parts. And Point Drops allows me to give players 500 points. There's a lot of interesting things you can go ahead and do here. And then some of them can get pretty crazy. Like, I have one that means I can fire without using bullets, and this one just spawns a free max ammo. However, as far as I know, they've kind of nerfed them. I have seen no such thing as a perkaholic like they used to, and I have seen a lot of just kind of cool but not OP type style ones. Like this one, spawns a full power power-up. Nothing too special there for a legendary. And this one's interesting. All players in Spectate will spawn in immediately. That's cool, but it really doesn't make a massive difference. And wall power is now one of the highest level ones there are. And wall power back in the day was easy to get. So those are what elixirs are. Now let's go on to talismans. Talisman. A talisman is like a burn card in something like Titanfall or an offering in Dead by Daylight. Basically, you place these into the game before you start, it gets consumed and it goes away forever, and you get whatever you have. Now, I got one, which is the Major Amulet of the Third Circle, which allows me to start the game with the Zeus perk. And my Zeus one would be, which one is Zeus? Right here, would be Death Perception. Pretty simple stuff. You start off with a perk. Now, these, of course, are consumed on use, and you don't have any random common ones. You only get these via the factory the same way you get elixirs. I don't know what the drop rate are for these things. I only have the one, but as far as I know, I've only used it once. I got 2 elixirs and 1 talisman, so it is how it is. Most of these are pretty dang unimportant, like reduces the cost of a certain cola perk, you gain 1 more frag grenade charge, nothing really crazy. Reduce pack-a-punch cost. Obviously the epic ones can be pretty crazy, like start the match with an LMG, that's pretty good, but again, there's nothing really to the level of perkaholics like we've seen before. Some of these are pretty nice. Certain perks can never be lost, that's always good, but in reality they're not massively game-breaking. Now, with talismans, elixirs, and perks out of the way, let's move on to weapons. Now, weapons are rather interesting depending on which story you're going on. We'll start with the Ether story. Now, if you remember in Black Ops 3, you can occasionally get the Annihilator from the box, and that would be a special ability that when you press both your bumpers, you can pull out as like a third weapon. This is the exact same thing. Now, in the Ether storyline, we have a couple. We have a Russian flamethrower, we have the Death Machine, we have a katana. I know you're all so stoked to have Takio's katana. And you have the Ragnarok DG5. I love this thing so much. Basically, you can choose which of these special weapons you like, and as you play the game, you'll slowly build up the bar to use this weapon. And then you pull it out and you go to town. Just like the old school stuff. Oh, Razor Synapse has an update. Thank you, Razor Synapse. But just like the old school stuff, you can just pull them out and have a good time with them. For the Chaos story, you have some interesting ones. The Scepter of Ra, Viper and Dragon, the Hammer of Valhalla, and the Chakrams of Vengeance. They're interesting stuff. Scepter of Ra is pretty good, though. But that is just the standard kind of super weapon you get, and you get it every time. You don't have to go to a box or try to do anything for it. Next up, you have your equipment. This is pretty simple. You want a frag, you want an acid bomb, a claymore, wraithfire, which is very interesting, and a sentry. Now, I have no idea how powerful the sentry is, because that sounds really powerful, but as far as I know, I haven't seen it yet, but this is your standard equipment you can swap out. Of course, you can also swap out your starting weapon. A couple of different secondaries between the standard little Welling 8-round revolver with a strife pistol, you know, shotgun, a nice little model, tactical, or an SMG. These are all, you know, relatively weak weapons. I mean, the tactical rifle looks pretty good, but these are all relatively just standard weapons to start off with, and it just makes it a little bit easier for your starting rounds. Now, these are all, of course, create a class. Everything that I just went over is a create a class thing. So as you can see me going to the top, these are all completely adjustable. Well, the last two aren't until I unlock them. You know, it's like unlocking new create a class. But these are all massively adjustable to however you want them to be. And they can get pretty insane. Some of them can look really good. One of my more favorite ones is checking out the Modifier Tonic on the far right-hand side and running something like, where is it? Winter's Wail. Now, this is pretty great whenever you have any kind of frost explosion. Winter's Wail is kind of like Widow's Wine. When you hit, or when hit by a melee attack, you generate a frost explosion that will freeze or slow enemies nearby, and you get 2 charges. The modifier allows the explosion to trigger a slowing field around the player for a short time, and you get 1 more charge. So it's like Widow Wine with 3 charges and a slow field. It can get pretty crazy sometimes, I gotta say. Anywho, wait, I'm sorry. Refill ammo of stowed weapons from ammo stock over time. That's a great modifier. Wow, I never noticed that. Wow, that's impressive. Okay, anywho, that's the kind of stuff you have on the Create a class. Now, that is relatively how the new Zombies goes. There's not a whole lot of differences besides this, and besides the fact that there's no Juggernaut. Now, apparently the reason they did this is to allow more customization freedom. However, the only downside I have with this is it doesn't allow you to swap your perk choices on the fly. Say you jump into a game and you think, oh crap, I don't want stamina up, I want Dying Wish. Well, you're kind of SOL. So, while it is kind of a cool idea, it definitely takes some steps forward, but it has a slight misstep, I think, as well. So, it's very cool. I need to play more around with it, but overall, it's definitely quite interesting. Now, backing this up from Create a Class, let's go into the laboratory. Now, this is what I mentioned beforehand. This is where you get your tonics and stuff, and the whole Dr. Monty's factory. Now, I've got 41 tonic, or whatever this is called. I really can't tell what it's called, on the top right-hand corner of the screen. And I can go ahead and get a little bit of a, I don't know, it's like a loot box, let's be honest with ourselves. It's basically a loot box. And what you get out of it is I got 3 elixirs. See, pretty simple stuff, nothing too crazy. And now that I have these 3 elixirs, I can go ahead and put them into my Create a Class because, where are they? Here they are, in plain sight, licensed contractor, and spawns a fire sale power-up. Simple stuff, you know, and they're one-time uses, of course. Now, as far as I know, you can't buy these with real money. You will. I'm just telling you right now, you will be able to. They are not going to pass up that possibility. You will be able to, but for the time being, you can't, so enjoy it while it lasts. And finally, you have your Armory. Now, your Armory is what the Black Ops 3 had as well. I've always liked this idea. So, as you level up weapons and use weapons, you can actually upgrade them with sights and such. So, what's interesting about this is if you go into the game, and let's say my Welling right here, it's the starter weapon. It says weapon level 1. I can't put anything on this thing, unfortunately. I can give it camos and paint jobs. So you can give it stuff like this in Zombies, which is pretty nice. It gives you that little extra bit of customization. But as you use weapons and such, you can go ahead and add attachments the more you use them. So let's say you go and you get the ICR from the mystery box. You just happen to get it. Well, if you've used it enough, you can actually slap on optics as well as attachments onto the weapon. So when you pick it up from the box, it will come like this. It will come with all of these attachments on it. And as well as the camos that you want as well. It's a nice little, I don't know, it's just kind of fun, you know? And it's not just the standard multiplayer weapons. You also have some of the weirder stuff that you can use, like the Hitchcock M9 over here. And where's the other one? The Escargot right here. You get some interesting combinations of not just the standard weapons. Aha, the Speakeasy. Beautiful. So yeah, there's a lot of nice little adjustments you can do when it comes to the workshop. Besides that, that is basically all that this game has in terms of changes. Now, it is a lot there's a lot of stuff going on, as you can obviously tell. There are a lot of changes in the game, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's definitely not quite the same as you'd expect. However, I can appreciate the difference. All they need to do is work on the UI in-game, because there is a lot of stuff on screen. And I think they can really make a nice new zombies mode this way. There's a lot of customization, it's very interesting, and if you want to use Jug, you can just go ahead and do the custom match. However, I must say, you should really give a look at the custom mutations in this game. They are insane. They are actually insane. Some of them are crazy. My favorite one right here is you can spawn nothing but special zombies. You can turn headshots on or off, crawlers on or off, or only crawlers. Zombies spread can adjust how tightly they walk, how fast they move, this max speed of them sometimes, damage multipliers, health multipliers. The player has like health drain. You can put on friendly fire. The weapons, you can turn them all off or on depending on what you want to do. You want to do snipers only? Bada bing, bada boom. It's really impressive. The mystery box, you can have them all on, only fire sale, all of them off. The number of uses before they move, you can make it 10 or just the default. It's so interesting what you can do with this stuff. You can do the repack-a-punch, you can have the pack-a-punch always on default. There is a lot of customization, and it's pretty impressive. I kind of love it, because instead of having to do your own like personal challenges, you can just do sniper only challenge on the hardest difficulty and go to town. It's really impressive. So as far as I know, Zombies is making some really interesting waves here. I think out of everything, they just need to clean up the UI a little bit in game, and more specifically allow me to swap out perks. You know, there's always the time when you're working with your friends and you decide, you know what, I think it's better if I have Mule Kick instead of Stamina Up, because the game changes, you know? And it would really suck if you couldn't. Actually, I'm kind of curious, what's the modifier for Mule Kick? No, come on. I want to see the modifier. Switch weapons faster. The additional weapon will be saved and stored on the next Mule Kick perk purchase. Okay, that's pretty cool. But anyway, it's very interesting. I like the idea of it. I have played all the maps already. Mob of the Dead remake is fantastic. I must admit, the Voyage of Despair is pretty great, but really hard. It reminds me of 5 from Black Ops 1. And 9 is kind of awesome. The gladiators are a little annoying, but it's pretty great. Anyway, thank you for watching this quick little video. It's not that quick, to be honest, but it goes through all the different changes this game has, because it does have a lot of changes. And I hope that if you're new to the game or you're just kind of a little bit daunted by the changes, this helps you out a lot. Thank you. This is Bricky, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.